There is a specific kind of sadness that hits you when something good is almost over. Not when it ends, before it ends. You are still inside the moment, laughing at dinner with people you love, watching the last episode of something that changed you, sitting in a place you know you are about to leave. And suddenly, without warning, a quiet grief slips in. The joy is still there. But now there is something else sitting beside it, a hollow ache, a strange awareness that this, right here, right now, is already becoming a memory. Most people never talk about this feeling. They just quietly experience it and assume something is wrong with them. Why can't I just enjoy this? Why am I sad when nothing bad has even happened yet? There is nothing wrong with you. Your brain is doing something deeply human. And once you understand what it is, you will never experience this feeling the same way again. This feeling has a name: anticipatory grief. It is the emotional experience of mourning something before it is gone. And it lives in one of the most fascinating and least understood corners of human psychology. Here's what is happening inside your brain when it hits. Your brain does not actually live in the present moment as much as you think it does. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network, a system that activates when you are not focused on a specific task. It is responsible for something called mental time travel. Your brain is constantly drifting between the past and the future, making predictions, constructing meaning, preparing for what comes next. When you are in a moment of genuine joy, the default mode network does not switch off. It keeps running quietly in the background. And because it is always scanning forward, it notices, before you consciously do, that this moment has an expiration date. The brain registers the ending before the ending arrives, and the emotional system responds accordingly. This is not pessimism. It is not anxiety. It is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you by preparing you. The grief you feel before something ends is the brain's way of beginning to process a loss it knows is coming. It is trying to soften the landing. But here is the part that makes this feeling so uniquely painful. It steals the present to protect you from the future. The very mechanism designed to help you cope ends up pulling you out of the joy it was trying to preserve. You are at the best dinner of your life, and your brain is already at home alone, missing it. There is a word in the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, a book dedicated to naming feelings that have no official label, that describes something close to this: lackesism, the desire to be struck by disaster, just to feel something real. But what you feel before good things end is almost the opposite. It is the desire to freeze time, not because life is empty, but because it is suddenly, overwhelmingly full. The Japanese have a concept called mono no aware. It translates loosely as the bittersweet awareness of impermanence. The gentle sadness that comes from knowing beauty does not last. It is considered not a flaw in human perception, but one of the most refined forms of emotional depth. To feel mono no aware is to love something completely enough, to grieve its passing before it is even gone. Your sadness is not a malfunction. It is proof of how fully you are capable of loving something. But understanding the beauty of it, and it does not make it easier to sit with. So here's the shift that actually helps. The brain creates anticipatory grief because it is future-focused. It has already left the room. The antidote is not to suppress the feeling. That never works. It is to use the feeling as a signal to come back. When you notice that quiet ache arriving, that soft grief at the edge of a good moment, instead of fighting it or spiraling into it, try saying this to yourself: I am still here. This is still happening. That sentence does something simple but powerful. It interrupts the brain's forward drift and returns your attention to the present tense. Not by force, not by pretending the ending isn't coming, but by choosing, consciously, to be in the room for as long as the room still exists. The ending will come. You cannot stop it, but the moment before the ending, that is still yours. There is something else worth knowing. Research on memory consistently shows that the emotional peak of an experience and its final moments are the two things the brain stores most vividly. Psychologists call this the peak end rule, which means the sadness you feel at the end of something good is not wasted. It is actually part of how the brain decides this mattered. The ache is the brain filing the experience under important. The grief is the receipt. You do not feel this way about things that meant nothing. So the next time you are sitting inside a good moment and that quiet sadness arrives uninvited, let it. Not because pain is beautiful, but because what it is pointing at is. It is pointing at something you love enough to miss before it is gone. Something that found its way past every defense and landed somewhere real inside you. That is not something to fix. That is something to be grateful for.